Vince, are you good? Or where are we at?
Yeah, we should be good to go. Can you guys hear me okay?
Oh man, there we go.
What's
There
happening?
we go, man. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, brother. How you?
So just in case y'all don't know, this is like impromptu. I just text him, hey, you at the home or you at the office?
Literally like 15 minutes ago.
I said, hey, let's have a conversation live like we do when I'm driving in the car
Right.
or when I'm in the office, and let's talk some stuff on this live, man. And I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Happy to do it. I mean, literally, I'm just doing some work here in the office. Gonna put in a late night tonight, and Max called. So like, I don't have nothing prepared. I hope you don't expect.
No, this is just like conversations, like,
Okay.
like when I call you randomly.
Cool.
You know, I like to ask you questions. I like to get like, you know, just some feedback.
Yeah, no doubt.
So can everybody hear Vince? We good back there? I can hear him, so everybody should be able to hear him.
Dave, can
Anyway.
you?
Yeah, if I can hear you, Dave can definitely hear you.
Okay, cool.
So let's talk about like what's going on in today's market. I know you got a lot of friends and high up positions and high up places that they kind of do stuff before we even get to see it, if that makes sense. Like they're making decisions and future decisions before we even get to. What are some of the things you're hearing? Right. Let's talk about something that's real important to the wholesaling community real quick. People that you know, and I think recently you had on probably one of the biggest lenders, private money lenders, hard money lenders on your show recently.
Yep.
What are they doing?
You know, it's interesting. So you're referring to one of the principals, one of the owners out of, I think they are like the number 2 or 3, certainly top 5 hard money lenders on the East Coast. And that was a great show, by the way. Long story short, you know what it comes down to, man, is like knowing who's really a lender and who's not. I'm not gonna...
Who's not the middleman?
Well, listen, you know, I'm not gonna put anybody on blast. That's not what this show is about. But there are some...
We can make it about that. No, I'm just joking.
We know. let's keep it above board. Now, there are some shops out there, man, that a lot of viewers have heard of, like national brands even, that...
Arbitrage money?
Well, that when COVID came, all of a sudden they weren't doing deals anymore.
Email stop,
marketing campaign stop, all of that. And a lot of times it's because they're not putting their own money out. And so we had a gentleman on who's got right at $100 million on the street. 75 million of it is his and his 2 partners' money, their personal family money. And then they have a small line of credit for another 25 million bucks.
I can't wait till I get to that point where I can put 75 mil on the street and sleep at night.
Right, you closer than you think, man.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
Hey, speak it into existence, right?
I'm with you.
So yeah, man. So they got like $100 million in the street total, and he said, number one, yes, it's scary. Yes, we think that this is going to be a long-term thing, but we're still lending. You know, we're still lending and we're still doing deals. Their LTVs have come down. So where they might have wanted you at 65, 70, they wanted you at 55, 60. They also wanted you to, equitize the deal a bit more, as they call it. So just bring a little bit more to the table, more skin in the game. And, but they said, if it's a good deal, you know, we'll do it. So, and that was 4 or 5 weeks ago. Things have loosened up quite a bit now. So they're rocking and rolling.
Yeah, so that's important to say. So what they're talking about, and the reason why I want to have this part of the conversation, is that the people that use hard money, they're not necessarily broke. They not necessarily don't have money, but a lot of people don't use their own money to flip deals. It's just smart.
Absolutely.
You know, I can borrow at X percentage and make X other percentage. Sometimes you're making a flip, you're doing 30, 40% returns. You know, so why not borrow at 10? Why not borrow at 11 or 12, whatever the rates may be that you're getting? So it's important for us to understand the what's happening, because our buyers are depending on people like your guy who's got 100 million on the street. Mm-hmm. So it's important to know what the lender, the real lender,
right? It's
important to understand what the true lender is doing, so you can have an idea and start having real conversations with real cash buyers. right? Wouldn't you say that's going to be the most important thing when and if the bottom falls out, to find out who really has money?
100%. So like, I would say that right now, everybody should be really strengthening those relationships.
Exactly.
With the lender, but also with the buyers. Like Max is saying, go back out to your buyers list and, figure out, number one, are they really a cash buyer? Excuse me, are they really a cash buyer? And if they are borrowing, that's fine. Again, it's smart to use other people's money, but just make sure that their capital relationships are in place and in good standing. So I think this is a great time to be shoring up those relationships. The market is, I don't want to say booming, but it really hasn't slowed down that much. And we can talk about some of the dynamics of why that is. But, a lot of this doom and gloom stuff, I think people in your audience should take all that with a grain of salt, because you're missing opportunity. You're missing deals if you believe all that, doom and gloom, bad news stuff out there.
Correct. So let me clarify, and that leads me into my next question. I am selling flips at retail faster than I've ever sold them, or just as fast as I was selling before everybody even knew what COVID or 19 was, if that makes sense, right? So, for example, I got a flip closing next Thursday or Friday or something like that. It had multiple offers over asking price within 48 hours, right? So what I'm doing on the property that I just comped, I want you guys to track along. It's 135 Robbins in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. It's a property that we bought. You can see the buy date. We're done. We're finishing up pressure washing and stuff today. I imagine I'm going to get more than I would have got for it a few months ago.
But Max, you don't really buy deals.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. But I do have a deal or two. So I'm flipping this fake house and doing a fake flip. But anyways, I'm doing a flip and I am going to be selling this house, but I want you guys to kind of track how fast it is. And I may even have my media team do something where we can really fully understand what's going on and how fast it's tracking. But to that, I've been selling my retail products at a very, very fast rate. And what is your theory behind everything around us seems to be collapsing? 35 million people don't have their jobs. 100,000 plus people have died from COVID-19. The stock market is still booming. Thank God for Oppenheimer. Thank you for hooking me up with that, by the way.
Amen.
And retail products are flying off the shelf, while everything else, it's like stocks and real estate are on an island, and everything else around it is collapsing. Can you explain that?
Yes, there's a couple of things happening. Number one, you got to think about this. So first off, fully acknowledge the severity of COVID. It's real. It's serious. People really are losing their lives. It's not a game. I do not mean to make light of it in any way. Those 35 million people that you're talking about that are without jobs, that's real. That's painful. Don't mean to make light of it in any way. But what I would say is that you got to take it with a grain of salt, right? So a lot of those folks who lost their job, if you look at the stats, I think it's something like 40% of them, or 40% of people who make 40K or less as a household have been furloughed or let go. So that's who's getting hit really hard, is folks who are in, lower income strata. And the truth is, the dynamic that you're describing with your own market, you're not impacted because a lot of those folks weren't buying houses anyway. You know what I'm saying? So even with a huge, scary number like 35 million being unemployed, if you were to really dial in on that number and say, okay, how many of those people decide we're going to buy a house and decided not to because of COVID? It's probably 5%, something like that. You know what I mean? So for the business that we're in, real estate, the on the ground impact, it just hasn't been that severe in that one sort of targeted way.
Not yet.
Yeah. And that's not to say the wheels can't come off, because I do think that there is I think there's a doomsday scenario out there that's not that crazy. I was on an analyst call this morning. A big investment bank does these big economic calls, and I'm just nerdy enough that I sit through those. They're a couple hours long. And
this is why I call them, so I can get the debrief.
Well, but it was interesting. So another stat that they threw out today, they said, let me make sure I get it right. They said that for the folks who are getting unemployment insurance right now, most of them, check this out, Max, most of them are earning more in their stimulus check than they were from wages.
Don't make me mad, because I've been spending around $120 a day on Indeed ads and Facebook ads to hire more people. I am trying to triple my sales staff in being ready for whatever could come.
Yeah.
But people are making more money to be able to sit at home than come to training.
There you go. So you're seeing it in real life in the business.
Yeah, in real life. It's hard. I see people filling out applications and getting an interview, but don't show up because the requirement to keep their unemployment is to continue to fill out applications.
That's right. Yeah, they literally just said that this morning. And I wasn't aware of that, candidly. That was new information for me. But they said that most people are making more from that UI check or their stimulus check than they were before, which creates a certain type of moral hazard, which is to say that if this thing extends too long, it becomes an issue not of shortage of jobs, but shortage of labor, shortage of bodies, you know?
So let's talk about why it's important to start strengthening your position and your relationship with cash buyers in the market. And like kind of why it's important at this time during this crisis, right? So you've been around long enough, you know, to be able to say, yo, this is what's really gonna this is what happened last time. Why is it important, more important than anything, to strengthen your relationship with cash buyers right now?
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, a couple of things. Number one, let me just say this. I think that people in this business probably just don't pay enough attention to their buyers in the first place. Everybody has been trained that this business is about finding distressed sellers, finding distressed motivated sellers, right? And that's all anybody focuses on. But if you can master disposition, which is to say, really understand the buyer, understand what they need, understand what their pain points are. When you had Jamil on, by the way, on the show a few weeks ago, I thought he did a brilliant job.
I don't think people caught that.
Bro, if y'all haven't seen that episode when Jamil from Keegley was on, you should go and watch that episode now. It's the kind of stuff that, frankly, we don't always say in public, right? Because that's like, I'm being dead ass. Like, he gave away real jewels. He gave away like real concrete information. And he just talked about understanding what their pain point is. And he gave a specific example, and I'm giving him all the credit for this, but I'll share it with the audience tonight. He said, let's say you got Joe Average investor, right? He's a dentist. Max, you and I always talk about the dentist, right? And dentist just means somebody who is W-2 rich. You know, they're not a professional real estate investor, but they made good money and they got some cash.
Yep.
And Jamil said, you know, this guy just had 30% of his 401k get wiped out. Gone, right? He needs to level those losses. He needs for his balance sheet to show that he's got equity, some gains somewhere. And if you can come to him with a property that's got some equity in it, and it doesn't even have to be as much equity as Max would want or as what I would want. But if you can show him a property that's got 10 or 15 or 20% equity in it, he is thrilled. He's thrilled. But you got to know your buyer. You got to be talking to him. You got to be calling him, understanding what his pain points are. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying it, but that's why it's so important to be cultivating those relationships right now.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I have a person in my office that's their entire job, 40 plus hours a week to talk to buyers.
There you go.
All day long. And that's what their job is. And that's why he's there and is paid for that position.
Yeah.
So I ain't gonna take up too much of your time. I think it's awesome that you came on at the last minute.
Yeah, man.
I know over at REI Real, we're releasing text messaging very soon.
Yeah. In fact,
you also came with
it now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it right now. But you actually came up with a new. You're the mastermind behind it. You came up with a new tiered pricing structure. What does that mean?
Oh yeah. So this is really cool. So REI Real is like, I'm trying to think of the best analogy for it. It's got all this stuff in it, right? It's got RVM, and it's got Text Blast now, and it's got lead pages, and it's got our patented deep trace system, which nobody in the world has. And that's great. And we sell it in these bundles that are really well priced, you know, $97, $200 a month, super, super reasonable. But we recognize, and we kept hearing, frankly, from people saying, well, look, I just want to use one section of it. Or, you know, I might not use up all those minutes that you give me in that bundle, right? So we created these pay-as-you-go plans. So now you can get REI Rail for $49 a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for $50, $49 to be exact, you can now get an REI Rail plan, and you just pay for what you use. So if all you want to do is RVM, cool, go for it. You're just going to pay for that. All you want to do is text, cool, go for it. So your bill might end up being, you know, 59, 60, 70, whatever it is bucks, but you no longer have to commit to spending $100, $200 a month. So anyway, we're really excited about it. It's a huge development. People have been asking about it for a while, and it's active.
Awesome, man. You have one of the dopest produced podcasts that I listen to, next to like NPR.
Oh, thank you.
You got any dope guests coming up on your podcast?
I do, actually. So so Heart of the City is the name of the podcast. On Instagram, it's HOC_podcast, Heart of the City. And we try to highlight entrepreneurs. They're mostly real estate, obviously, because that's kind of, you know, where I come from. But it's not just that. So to your point, we spotlight dope entrepreneurs no matter what field they're in. And I got two on deck. I want to say their name now. I literally just got off with the PR agent that's doing it. But this is two brothers, Max, who are in the cannabis business in a major way, like a major way.
I get in. I've been trying to get in.
Yeah, bro. It's well, for a bunch of reasons. You know, this is something that we need to be a part of. But they just have fascinating stories. And we're gonna have them on the show next week. And then I may do something. I've been talking all day, sorry. I may do something this weekend just to try to be reflective and acknowledging of what's been going on, just social, you know, Minneapolis and Karen and Central Park. And so there's some social entrepreneurs I've been talking to, and I want to have a conversation, a dialogue about what is entrepreneurs' role in social matters. Like, you know,
because we're the new athletes.
We're the new athletes. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So anyway, that's some of the stuff we got coming up.
I appreciate it, man. Like always, man, your wise words, wisdom. I always call you for help and always call you for advice. So I appreciate it, man. Get home to the fam. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. What we're gonna do next is people are gonna call me. So run that number across the bottom. Well, I'm gonna call them. Okay. But any parting words before you get out?
No, not really, man. Just keep on doing what you're doing. I just think that you're just such a shining example, man. I always want to highlight to people how hard it is to do this high level production, to be live every night or every other night. And so just just keep doing what you're doing. And you guys, you're following the right one. He's really doing this business, and I learn from him every day. So, you know, keep up with what you're doing, man.
Appreciate you, brother. We'll connect soon.
Appreciate you too. Peace.
Thank you.